Teen Mom star Leah Messers is getting bashed for irresponsible drug chats with her 3 daughters. 2 of her girls underwent procedures where they were offered pain medication, but she declined. So what did fans have to say about this and her reasoning for saying no to the drugs? Keep reading for more details. Leah Messers' irresponsible drug talk. When Leah Messers was younger, she had a full-blown addiction that played out on Teen Mom. It became a major problem, but she is doing great now. Along with that, her father has been in rehab, so she is very fearful of history repeating itself. She does not seem to want anyone around her taking anything more than Tylenol, which can be hard. Addie had oral surgery, and the doctor wrote her a prescription for something strong, but Leah declined. She was worried about addiction rearing its ugly head. Leah Messers' daughters, Addie, Leah, Allie. Then, her youngest daughter, Addie, had to have a cyst removed from her wrist. She was also prescribed something for pain, but Leah felt the need to have a talk with her. Leah explained that she was worried about Addie forming an addiction to the pills, despite her administering them to her daughter. Rather, Leah scared Addie and made it seem like if she took the pills because she was in pain, that would immediately lead to an addiction. It was not responsible, but a scare tactic that was unnecessary. Fans picked up on this and were not happy. Although some Teen Mom fans liked how open and honest Leah Messers was, others felt she unnecessarily scared them. There were better ways to educate the girls about addiction without making them suffer in pain. Although Leah and Addie were very strong and appeared to not need anything strong, could it have been because Leah scared them away from it? One wondered why kids are being prescribed heavy medications, but they are not babies anymore. Was it her own addiction creeping back? Some Teen Mom fans could not help but wonder if Leah Messers did not want the pills in the house for fear of a relapse. This could have been a reason, but they also did not care for the way she scared them, especially Addie. Sounds like Leah just didn't want them in the house because of her own fear of relapse. Yeah, I understand Leah's concern, but come on, she's projecting just a tiny bit. And are you actually concerned for Addie/your kids or yourself relapsing? Withholding pain medication from your daughter because you have an issue is so wrong. You manage it for her. She is still your kid. You don't let her suffer. You can't become addicted unless you abuse the meds. Leah is scaring her child for no reason. Yes, Leah did tell Addie that if the pain got too intense, she would fill the prescription. Still, she was the one who would monitor whatever her kids would take. It was not a free-for-all. Do you agree that Leah's own fears got in the way, and she projected instead of educated? Or do you feel she did a great job of speaking to her girls? Let us know and watch Teen Mom, the next chapter Thursdays on MTV. Former Teen Mom 2 star Leah Messers is once again at the center of a public firestorm, this time drawing intense criticism for what fans are calling irresponsible drug talks with her 3 daughters, stemming from her decision to decline prescribed pain medication for 2 of them following medical procedures. Messers, who has publicly battled a full-blown addiction in the past and whose father has also faced substance abuse issues, defended her actions by citing a profound fear of history repeating itself within her family. However, her approach has left many viewers questioning whether her personal anxieties overshadowed her daughter's immediate medical needs and proper education on medication use. The controversy first arose after Leah's eldest daughter, Allie Sims, underwent oral surgery. Despite the dentist prescribing a strong pain medication to manage post-operative discomfort, Leah opted to decline the prescription entirely. Her reasoning, as she shared, was rooted in her deep-seated fear that the presence of such medication in her home could pave the way for addiction, given her own past struggles. This decision immediately raised eyebrows among the Teen Mom fanbase, who have witnessed Leah's personal journey of recovery play out on national television. The debate intensified when her youngest daughter, Addie Calvert, required a procedure to remove a cyst from her wrist. Again, a pain medication was prescribed, but this time, Leah engaged in a conversation with Addie that fans found particularly alarming. According to Messers' account, she expressed her anxieties directly to Addie, conveying a strong fear that taking the prescribed pills, even for legitimate pain, could swiftly lead to addiction. This dialogue, framed as a cautionary tale, was perceived by many as an unnecessary scare tactic, rather than a responsible and balanced education on addiction to prescription pain medication, which spiraled out of control during her time on Teen Mom 2, is a well-documented chapter of her life. She has openly discussed her recovery journey, including periods of seeking treatment and focusing on sobriety. Furthermore, the battles her father has faced with addiction have clearly instilled in her a profound vigilance against any form of substance abuse in her household. She has often expressed the desire to keep her children away from anything stronger than over-the-counter pain relievers like Tylenol, a stance that, while understandable from her perspective, becomes problematic when faced with genuine medical necessity. While some fans applauded Leah's transparency and her efforts to protect her children from the perils of addiction, a much larger segment of the audience expressed dismay. Critics argued that while education about addiction is crucial, Leah's method was misdirected and potentially harmful. Many felt she unnecessarily scared her daughters, especially Addie, into foregoing legitimate pain relief. The core of the concern was that instead of teaching her girls about responsible medication use, monitoring, and the difference between dependence and addiction, Leah presented a stark, fear-mongering narrative that conflated pain management with immediate addiction. There are better ways to educate the girls about addiction without making them suffer in pain, one fan commented, encapsulating a widely held view. Another pondered whether Aliana and Addie's apparent stoicism regarding their pain, they reportedly seemed to manage well without the stronger medications, was a testament to their strength or a direct consequence of Leah instilling a deep fear of any pain medication. The observation that kids are being prescribed heavy medications, but they are not babies anymore, also highlighted the perceived disconnect between a parent's personal anxieties and the professional medical recommendations for older children. Perhaps the most potent criticism leveled against Leah was the suggestion that her decisions were less about protecting her children and more about protecting herself from the temptation of relapse. This theory gained significant traction online, with many fans voicing suspicions that Leah's own fear of having prescription pain medication in the house, given her history, superseded her daughter's comfort. Comments reflecting this sentiment flooded social media. Sounds like Leah just didn't want them in the house because of her own fear of relapse. Yeah, I understand Leah's concern, but come on, she's projecting just a tiny bit. And are you actually concerned for Addie/your kids or yourself relapsing? Withholding pain medication from your daughter because you had an issue is so wrong. You manage it for her. She is still your kid. You don't let her suffer. You can't become addicted unless you abuse the meds. Leah is scaring her child for no reason. These reactions underscore a critical point. While a parent's past experiences can inform their parenting decisions, they should not necessarily dictate them at the expense of a child's immediate well-being. The concern was that Leah was projecting her own fears and trauma onto her daughters, rather than empowering them with knowledge and trust. The idea that you manage it for her, she is still your kid, resonated with many, emphasizing a parent's responsibility to administer prescribed medication carefully, rather than denying it outright. Even the nuance Leah attempted to introduce, stating that she would fill the prescription if Addie's pain became too intense, did little to quell the criticism. Fans argued that waiting for severe pain before administering medication was unnecessary and that a proactive, managed approach from the outset would have been more appropriate. The point was that Leah, as the parent, would always be in control of administering the medication, making the free-for-all scenario she seemed to fear highly unlikely. The core question that remains for many Teen Mom viewers is whether Leah Messers' genuine desire to shield her daughters from addiction ultimately led her to make decisions that were more harmful than helpful. Did her own unresolved fears and past struggles overshadow her ability to provide balanced, medically sound care for her children? Or was her highly personal approach, though unconventional, a valid expression of a mother's fierce protectiveness in the face of a terrifying generational pattern? The debate continues, with the online community sharply divided on whether Leah projected instead of educated, or if she handled the deeply personal challenge with admirable transparency and strength. As always, the lives of the Teen Mom stars and the intricate parenting decisions they make continue to be dissected under the harsh glare of public scrutiny.